Have you ever felt like you needed to be more recognized for something you were doing? Whether that be a weight loss journey where you've lost all this weight, or maybe you're a parent who wants to be greater recognized for what they're contributing to the household. Or maybe you've gotten a promotion and you want people to start treating you differently in the office because you've worked your way up. Whatever the case may be, one thing needs to be noted. Nobody owes you shit. Welcome back to Soul Synergy Life, you guys. My name is Amanda, and I help people to spiritually heal and grow. Today's video is a super important one to tune in on because a lot of times we don't even realize the entitlement that tends to come when we are working on ourselves spiritually, emotionally, or physically. Most of us aren't walking around the street wanting everyone to grovel at our feet or bow to us because we have been working on ourselves. But there comes this natural sense of entitlement where you want people to start recognizing you for all that you've been doing. With the more awake you begin to come, and I'm going to explain this pyramid in a minute, but the more you get to the top of that pyramid, the more you start to feel just sometimes higher in a sense than other people, and not materialistically, but in a awakened spiritual mindset that you have discovered. Because most people walk around the streets never having a spiritual awakening, never tapping in to the deepest parts of their soul. And so when you start to have this clarity, there can come this entitlement with it instead of a humbleness. And that's something that we all need to start to recognize. The universe and God don't owe you shit. Nobody in your life owes you shit because you have already been blessed with the greatest gift possible. This whole pyramid, and this is something that I came up with to visually help you understand, the levels of spiritual awakening in my eyes. This is the gift. This is the gift. You've been given with it. Everybody watching this video, everybody on this planet has been given the gift, okay? But to utilize it correctly and to tap into it is a whole nother story. So we're gonna go through each level until we get to the top, okay? And then we're gonna dive deeper into being enlightened. But the bottom here is self-awareness. And I've talked about this in a lot of other videos because self-awareness is the foundation of your entire spiritual awakening. It is the foundation of understanding and just recognizing the bigger picture here, okay? So self-awareness, this is where blame rests. This is where denial rests. This is where suppression rests. So if you watch my other video, the 3 ways that you negatively deal with negative emotion, one of the things, or multiple of the things, are projection, denial, and these are all the things that happen when you hold in negative emotion, right? So when you're holding in negative stuff, when you're not dealing with the bad things going on inside of you, when you don't want to deal with it, when you aren't recognizing it, you are not self-aware. Because people who are self-aware understand that it's nobody else's fault for where you're at in life, okay? It's not your upbringing as a child. It's not where you live. It's not your current situation. It's not your job. It's not your spouse. It's not your friends. The reason you're where you're at in life and who you are and how you view yourself is all you. It's all up in here. It's all in here, and you're holding it in. So if it's bad or you're unhappy, that is all because of you. And the minute you start to understand that and you start owning it and you hold accountability for your life and the position you are in, that, my friends, is when you become self-aware. And once you become self-aware, you start to see things completely different. Everything in life is different. You gain this clarity, and it's magnificent. So once you do that, you can move on to lessons. That's the next part in our pyramid here. Now, remember when I talked about the negative emotions and the things inside of you that hurt your feelings or made you feel a certain way, made you angry, made you sad? You start to look at them as lessons instead of feeling like a victim to them. You see, it's very easy for everybody to just play victim. It's very easy because then you don't have to hold accountability for the way you're feeling. You can just place it over there and project it onto something else, and then everything's dandy. But really, what is happening on the inside is just toxicity, poison. You're poisoning yourself when you do that. So when you're self-aware and you can pinpoint those emotions, you can start to see them as a lesson. And when you start to see, what can I learn from this? You know, a good example, I always like to use relationships examples because it's super, it's the easiest one to use, and a lot of people have been through a breakup of some sort. So let's say you had a breakup, right? And you become self-aware when you aren't blaming yourself for that breakup, or you're no longer thinking I'm not good enough. Your self-awareness is, well, we had a good run, or you know, maybe it was a horrible relationship and you didn't have a good run, but you aren't for each other. You know, you start to realize that it's nobody's fault. We're just not meant to be. Our spirits just don't align. We do not bring out the best in each other. We do not help each other grow. We do not have the same goals. And instead of trying to force it to work or to change somebody's habits or thoughts to make it fit, we are now self-aware and realize it's not me, it's not him, we just don't belong together. We just can't do it, you know? That now goes to lessons. Okay, well, why did the relationship happen? You know, what did I learn from this relationship? Okay, well, I learned that I didn't like that, you know, he or she did this, this, and this. These are the things that I can't deal with. And I'm understanding that now. So when I go and put myself out there again, I know I need to, you know, be upfront about faith, or be upfront about, you know, hobbies. These are important to me. You've now learned a lesson. Instead of crying about the situation and thinking you're going to die or that your heart is just never going to be whole again, you start to realize that it was a lesson, and it's a good thing. It might have sucked, it might have hurt, and you have all these memories that surround it, but you got to let them go. You got to let them go because there's better things that wait over there for you, okay? So now we've learned the lesson, or we've recognized the lesson, right? Then we learn from the lesson. So this would be now not going out and just like clinging to every person that you have feelings for, you're attracted to. That's not the answer to breaking up with somebody, okay? You learn from it, and then you just go about your life happily. You continue to work on yourself, and you put yourself back out there. And if somebody bites and you go on a date, or you see a couple, you know, go on a couple different dates, you now have learned from the past relationship. So you know that any guy or girl that acts like your ex, because how many times have we repeated dating the very similar person? You know, I feel like in my life, when I think back to people I dated, there was this string of, you know, years where I noticed a lot of the guys have the same, you know, friend group, the same ideas, the same hobbies, the same habits, and it never worked. And every time I tried to like change them, and now I'm in the best relationship I could have ever asked for. I'm going to marry my twin flame, my soulmate, in the fall, and I'm so excited. But he is not like anybody I've ever dated. You know, it's crazy. He's complete opposite. It's amazing. But you learn instead of repeating the bullshit. You learn, okay? Top of the pyramid is awake. You are now spiritually awake. And it's very important to note that I'm using relationships in this pyramid as just a sliver of the whole pie, okay? Because this pyramid is for everything in life. Everything, not just relationships, everything. It can be with, work. You can use this for work. You can use this for I don't know, I'm drawing a blank. But you can use it for every aspect of life. And awake is when you become enlightened, when you start to see things from a completely different view. And up here, there is no negativity. There's none. Now, while we all feel negative thoughts here and there, we don't let it consume us. We don't let it define us anymore. So when you reach the awakened state from whatever this pyramid was pertaining to, you are now able to stay positive and just grow, just illuminate yourself in this light that everybody around you will start to recognize when you start utilizing this pyramid scale. When you start utilizing it in every aspect of life, people are going to start seeing you shine brighter. You are going to be happier. You're going to smile more. And that's because you have become awake. Now, when we do this, it is very important that you do not become entitled. Okay? Because awakened means enlightened. It doesn't mean awake, now I'm entitled. Okay? So, again, going back to the relationship example, you can't go into that next relationship feeling entitled, feeling like you're better than the other person because you got through this terrible breakup. Or, you were with a man or a woman, whatever, who treated you terribly. So now this next guy, you tell him all about it, and you feel entitled. You feel like he needs to make up for that other guy's mistakes. Not fair. That's not how this works. Once you become awake and then you equal it to entitlement, you, my friend, are dropped all the way back down to self-awareness, because now you are no longer self-aware and you start to use projection, awareness, and suppression again. So, I've noticed this in my own life. Not in, maybe in a relationship aspect, but more so when I had my spiritual awakening. It's very easy to have your own path that you're going down and working on yourself and feeling alive and feeling like awake just for the first time ever. And you look at somebody else who is probably struggling, or they're still out partying every weekend, or they're still diving into toxic ways of handling their negative emotion. And instead of being inspired to maybe help them, you kind of look at them with that, they have no idea what they're doing. Like, God, they're definitely not awake. Like, geez. You start to hold yourself above them, which is not the point of being enlightened. Enlightenment, again, surrounds positivity. So the minute you start to judge somebody else who is struggling in life, or who isn't awake, or, who isn't interested in the things you're interested in, that is negative, right? That's negativity. So again, you become negative at the top of the mountain, whoop, you come right back down here. Positivity is the only thing that rests up here. So when you are enlightened, you start to get inspired to help other people wake up, which is what I hope to do. Back when I first had my spiritual awakening, I had that little bit of entitlement. And now that I've done so much studying and so much work on myself, I realize that when I'm in an awakened state, I want nothing more than to make these videos and to help other people become awake, to help other people recognize their emotions and their own spiritual growth. So that is the pyramid, and this is the entire gift. This is the entire gift that the universe has given all of us. We can use this in our everyday lives. But all too often, people just stay stuck down here because they think that it's the easiest. But while it might not take a lot of work to stay down here and reflection, all it does is it keeps you in this low vibrational state. You never get to feel that high frequency of just that illuminated light I talked about. You just stay down here and things just stew in you, and your life just becomes one big blur until you wake up and you're 80 and you look back on your life and you think it wasn't that great. That's not the point of life, you guys. Okay, so I want you to recognize the gift, but only you can activate it. Only you can activate this and make it work and have this spiritual awakening and have this clarity on life in a completely different light. And once you do that, I guarantee you will want to use this for everything, because you are going to be such a happier person. Such a happier person when you realize that you are not entitled to anything and that you are just growing and glowing. If you have any questions on this, you guys, feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you have anything you'd like me to talk about or to really zone in on, or maybe it's a completely different subject when it comes to spirituality, growth, healing, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'd love to start making more videos that you guys really want to watch. Hopefully you want to watch these, but really if you can give me more subject material to work with, I would appreciate it, because then I know that I'm helping you with my videos. So everyone, have a blessed day and stay Zen, my friends.